And now kind of going into the topic of performance, the pianist Marc Andre-Hamlin once said in
Mm,
an interview, and I believe it was for Living the Classical Life, and he
mm,
said, quote, he doesn't view performance as an exhibition, but as an offering,
mm.
talking about more an offering to the audience. What is your personal philosophy on performance, and how does that philosophy help with performance anxiety, if that's a thing for you?
That's a great question too, and I love that quote. I think it's spot on. Um, I mean, it's a great philosophy to have because it's I guess it's kind of strange when dozens of people are sort of sitting there looking at you and like with their full attention when you
Yeah,
when you walk on stage with this piano, and it does feel like an exhibition or like you're being challenged or something like that.
yeah,
Um, but it's dangerous to forget what the purpose of a concert really is, or the fact that everyone's sharing the experience and that everyone loves the music,
right.
and it's not about showing off. I guess, I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know, in a way that philosophy can make you feel even more stage fright because
Yeah.
you feel like if you fail something,
Yeah.
you don't just fail yourself, but you feel the music and you feel the audience and you feel
Right.
everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, it's, and you know, I guess regarding stage fright, um I get stage fright almost every time, and I almost feel like it some healthy fear, or even just fear, like having some adrenaline can actually help you focus better if you can use it well or get into the
Totally
music better.
agree. Yeah.
But you definitely cannot let fear run the show
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because then
That's a great way
it
to
would be
put it.
a disaster. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Right.
it's not what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit about acceptance, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to be able to get to a point where you trust your preparation,
Mhm.
which is hard if you didn't prepare enough.
Oh, definitely.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
but then on the other hand, what is enough? You always wish you had another month.
Right.
So it's kind of a tricky subject that I think many people avoid or you just cope with. And it's funny because you cope with it once and it may go great, and then you have
Mhm.
to cope with it again
Yeah.
from level zero on the next day. It's not that doing it once will help you doing it, that you do it again, you'll just get more experience, I guess,
Yeah.
on how to cope with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's you have to sort of learn to accept it. And I one consolation that one gets is that I know a lot of the artists that I admired the most and who play,
Mhm.
50 times better than me still have stage fright that is probably worse even than
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hearing some stories of people having to push Rachmaninoff into the stage, or
Yeah.
even someone as godly as Argerich being also so scared of
Right. Right.
going on stage.
Yeah.
Radulupu, I heard, was had to sometimes take shots of hard liquor before going on stage
Oof.
because it goes on and on. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So I feel like sometimes actually having a routine before going on stage, it doesn't change anything, but the placebo effect can help you cope with it, or
Definitely.
just do your thing
Yeah.
without being
Well,
too, yeah.
yeah, yeah, sorry. And I think with nerves, I've kind of come to the conclusion that um I try to treat nerves as aside from like the rare case where you're just like super unprepared and that's the reason
Mm-hmm.
for your nerves. Aside from that,
Mm-hmm.
I try to treat nerves as a reminder that you're about to go do something important. And that I think that can apply to things outside of music, but certainly in music,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, kind of going back to the idea about performance philosophy, because, I think with this current age of like social media and with, just we're more visually, excuse me, visually stimulated as a society. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of artists try to, or have this sense of pressure to kind of visually uh, be fulfilling to the audience on stage sometimes. Um, and not that that's certainly a way to get people to concerts, right? So I think that's fine. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think, it's interesting because I think personally speaking, as a performer, we're really the liaison from the composer and the music to the audience, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
think of it that way, I feel like we're really kind of the low man on the totem pole, right? It should really be the composer, audience, and then like us. But I think in
Yeah,
this current
yeah.
society and generation, I feel like we've kind of flipped it
Us,
up. Yeah, and
audience and composer.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, I certainly think you're someone that isn't like that. Obviously, I think you go against that grain, and you obviously always put the music first. But I'm sure you've seen colleagues, and I've seen colleagues that are very much about the the
Show or
show.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
I it's a it's funny. I mean, well, first of all, on the regarding the previous question, that's a much deeper take on stage fright than I have. So it is true that if you're doing something important, you would be nervous, and it's normal. So it's
yeah,
not nothing
yeah,
bad. You
yeah,
just not. But yeah, regarding this show, I mean, I guess it's also it's a great question because it's in a way. I mean, a performance anyway. It has a visual aspect to it, right?
yeah. Of
It's still
course.
like theater
Yeah,
or something that you wouldn't walk into the stage with like a t-shirt and flip-flops
sure.
or be too casual, and there's certain gestures I guess in the music that you they start maybe before you even play a note, and may start in a physical way. Like if I'm sure if you played the same thing in two different ways, but like with the same sound, but
Hmm.
like physically with a different gesture, it would
Yeah,
affect how you play the rest of the phrase, and it would affect
sure,
how the audience perceives it.
sure.
That's one part of it. But I think we're sometimes you just see things that are uh, just they're like there's the visual effect or visual aspect to it that has nothing to do with the music.
Right.
And I feel like if there's no music or if there's nothing behind it, then it's just there's nothing to listen to. So you're absolutely right. I guess it's happened for many years and for
Yeah.
many decades, but now we have social media and we have everyone can record performances much more, and
Right.
it's more apparent and it's more dangerous too for
Yeah.
people. And I guess sometimes we also think that we have to draw younger audiences, as you
Yeah.
said, and that involves. So I guess I don't really have a problem with that, but if it
Mhm.
substitutes the music, then that is a problem.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Because yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great way to put it.
and
Yeah.
I and I don't know. I mean, it's everyone can deal with it their own way, and it's fine.
Right.
I feel like it's hard enough to approach a piece of music and try to communicate it to the audience or do something with it. So
Right.
but some people are able to incorporate that so well
Yeah.
into their playing, and it's I guess something else comes through if someone does it in a very genuine way,
Yeah.
and humanly I think the audience will appreciate it, and sort of it may make even more convincing what they do.
Hmm.
um but when it's fake or when it just has nothing behind it, then it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
such a pity.
Yeah.
And people sometimes can be misguided and all that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good question,
Yeah.
and maybe I went too far the other way at times, and
Hmm.
sometimes I had problems with my posture, and that maybe comes from a lack of consideration for that visual element, and that's or maybe, well, I don't know where it comes from. It's a
Hmm.
psychological thing,
Hmm.
but it's I guess there's a good balance to have. I mean, so many pianists in the past had a great, like if you look at Rubinstein,
Yeah.
so often just sitting straight. Like
Yeah.
there's a Fire recording where it's like this Ride of Fire, I think it's called, and
Okay.
he's like bouncing his hands, like looks like a dinosaur, almost going above his head.
Yeah.
But from almost everyone who heard him, I heard that his stage presence was amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, and that of course didn't go by itself. Like his sound, no one could reproduce, and there was something so dignified about that. It would sort of make the audience enter the music in a way that no one else was able to achieve. Or then you look at Horowitz, who
Yeah.
doesn't move at all,
Right.
just sitting there,
Yeah.
and yet what he does with his fingers is the music that comes out of the piano is
Yeah.
again like it's an entire orchestra,
Yeah.
and it's sort of it's something that you don't get from audio recordings.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I guess it's I hope that's not lost. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like technology is, I'm going on a tangent, but
Yeah.
technology's had some great a great positive impact, and also maybe a more negative
Yeah.
impact in that, anyone can play anything anyway, and then you can see it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people will think that's great, and
Right.
um, yeah, and it's the danger that we will become more superficial maybe,
Right.
and have lower attention spans,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's good for society.
Right.
um, because yeah, I mean, to do anything well, you need to maybe develop some attention skills, or I
Right.
mean, says someone who had no attention skills when I was a kid. That's from personal experience.
Right.
But then I guess we can use technology well too, and now you
Yeah.
can hear all these good recordings, or we're speaking on Zoom right now, and
Yeah.
you can see your face as I'm
Yeah.
talking to you, which is
Yeah.
um so it's very easy to be a pessimist, and that's also not nice. But we, I guess we have a responsibility in what